What if humility is the very thing weakening your power? You've been told to stay modest, stay quiet, stay small, and maybe that advice served you once when you had nothing to protect. But if you're building something real now, your name, your craft, your empire, there are times when humility is not a virtue. It's a liability. This is not a lesson in arrogance. This is a warning about precision, a blueprint, a revelation that will change how you see power, pride, and survival. Watch this to the end, because one overlooked situation could cost you your reputation, or worse, your future. Now listen closely. If you've ever bit your tongue when you should have spoken, let someone take credit for your work, downplayed your ability just to seem likable, watched a weaker rival outrun you in life only because they were louder, then this video is not just information, it's transformation. These are 7 moments when humility is poison. 7 moments when power demands something colder, sharper, and stronger from you. You are not here to bow. You are here to rule with clarity. So take note. Number 1, never be humble when you're the one holding the truth. There are moments in life when silence is not a virtue. When the world goes blind, the man who sees must not whisper. Truth, real truth, is not a candle to be shielded from the wind. It is a torch meant to blaze through the storm. And if you are the one holding it, you do not kneel to comfort those hiding in shadows. You walk forward and let them see. Never be humble when you are standing on the mountain of reason while others build houses on sand. Do not disguise clarity as politeness. Do not water down fire to make others feel warm. This is not kindness. It is betrayal. Betrayal of what is right. Betrayal of what is real. In a society where lies are currency, the truth teller becomes dangerous. And that is precisely why you must be immovable. Machiavelli understood this. When he said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both," he was not simply speaking of rulers and weapons. He was speaking of presence, of the unshakable weight that truth carries when it is not dressed in apology. Fear does not always arise from threat. It also arises from authority, from the man who knows what others deny and will not bend. If you bow when you are right, you teach others that truth is negotiable. You tell the world that facts are fragile, that clarity must yield to confusion. This is how civilizations collapse, when those who know better refuse to speak with conviction. So speak with calm fire, with sharp precision. Do not shout, do not flail. Be like the sword unsheathed, silent until drawn, then undeniable. Do not let false humility become a mask for fear. The world does not need more gentle liars. It needs brutal clarity from those who can carry its weight. In everyday life, this means you do not second-guess yourself when the data is on your side. When your experience, your research, your tested insights are dismissed by people with louder voices but weaker minds, stand firm. You do not need to match their volume. You only need to speak with gravity. A doctor does not ask permission before saving a life. A leader does not beg to be heard. And a mind that holds the truth does not wear chains forged by the insecure. If you know what is right, act. If you see what others ignore, speak. If your vision pierces the fog, lead. Humility has its place. But in the war for reality, there is no prize for those who quietly watch the lie win. Let others decorate their cages. You break the locks. Let others plead for comfort. You carry the sword of truth and walk into the storm. Because in the end, the world is not changed by those who wait for permission. It is changed by those who refuse to apologize for seeing clearly. Number 2, never be humble in the presence of a manipulator. There is a special breed of enemy, one that does not strike directly but corrodes silently. They do not argue, they plant doubt. They do not shout, they whisper just loud enough to stain your name. They do not fight you. They reshape the battlefield so you slip without knowing who laid the trap. And to such people, your humility is a gift, not a noble gesture, not a sign of strength, a gift, a signal, a scent of blood in the water. Manipulators thrive where people shrink. They rely on your politeness, your hesitation, your eagerness to be liked, to infiltrate your space, distort your reality, and rewrite the narrative. That's why humility in front of them is not a virtue. It's a surrender. It is putting down your shield while they quietly draw their blade. Machiavelli understood this darker dance of power when he wrote, "Men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived." You must not be that someone. Do not match their tone. Exceed it in stillness. Make your boundaries so sharp they cut without needing to be spoken. Never explain yourself to one who has already decided to misunderstand you. Never soften your stance for one who thrives on distorting your intentions. These are not people seeking truth. They are seeking leverage. And every time you bow, you hand them another inch of rope. The manipulator plays chess. But the strongest move is not to play their game. It is to flip the board, expose the pieces, and stare them down until they reveal their true face. How? You do not attack. You reveal. You do not justify. You state. You do not flinch. You observe with a stillness that unsettles the dishonest and strengthens the sincere. Let your presence warn them. Let your confidence be a mirror, so clean it reflects their own deceit back at them. Because in truth, the manipulator cannot survive in clarity. Their strength lies in your confusion. Their tactics die in the light. So carry that light like a sword. Be articulate. Be alert. But above all, be impossible to manipulate. This doesn't mean being aggressive. It means being immune to flattery, to passive jabs, to baited praise and false guilt. They'll call you arrogant, cold, unkind. Let them, because strength without clarity is brutality. But clarity without strength, that's how empires fall. You are not here to be a sponge for others' projections. You are here to build something real. And anything real, your work, your vision, your values, must be defended. So when you detect the manipulator, do not shrink into diplomacy. Do not explain your essence to a snake. Stand taller, speak simpler, and make it obvious that you cannot be moved. And if they continue, let your silence become a mirror that shatters their games. Number 3, never be humble in negotiation. Negotiation is not about fairness. It is about leverage. It is not a polite conversation. It is a bloodless battlefield, a silent duel of posture, silence, and perceived value. And in this arena, humility is often mistaken for weakness. A bowed head becomes an open invitation. A soft voice becomes an unspoken discount. The man who walks in hoping to be liked walks out robbed of power, of value, of time. If you've paid your dues in silence, if you've sacrificed nights while they slept, if your mind is a fortress they now want to enter, then why do you hesitate? State your worth without trembling. Make no apologies for what you demand. Because when you enter the room and say, whatever you think is fair, you've already given away the throne. You've already allowed them to become the judge of your value, when it should be you. There is no nobility in self-erasure. There is only disappearance. Machiavelli wrote with precision, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. He wasn't encouraging dishonor. He was exposing the brutal truth, that people will do what they must, not what they should. So never assume the other side will be kind. Assume they are strategic. Assume they are weighing every word, every pause, every price you do or do not place on yourself. And understand this, you are not just negotiating for money. You are negotiating for respect, for how they speak of you when you're not in the room, for how they treat you in every future encounter. When you lower your price, you lower your status. When you hesitate to state your value, they begin to doubt it. When you seek approval, they withhold it because they know you crave it. Instead, walk in like one who owns land they need to cross. Do not beg for fairness. Do not sell yourself in soft tones. Do not disguise confidence as humility. Walk in with quiet, immovable presence. Speak slowly. Name your terms. Then stop talking. Let them feel the weight of what they'll lose if they say no. This is not arrogance. This is balance. The world already leans heavily in favor of those willing to take. Your posture must even the scale. When they try to guilt you, stay silent. When they pretend to hesitate, don't flinch. When they offer less, counter with certainty. Because if you do not make them earn your time, your skill, your vision, they will treat it as disposable. And the worst thing you can ever do is make excellence look cheap. Remember this. People don't pay what you're worth. They pay what you demand. So set the price with your spine, with your eyes, with your energy, and never leave the room as less than what you are. Number 4, never be humble when your enemies are watching. Enemies do not need you to lose, they only need you to look like you're losing. Because perception is power, and when those who secretly envy you see a crack, they do not pray for your recovery, they sharpen their blades and step forward. If you fall, fall in silence. Make no noise. Give them nothing. Do not bleed in the open where their eyes can drink from your suffering. And when you rise, do not explain. Do not justify. Do not share the journey. Let them see it in your fire, in your presence, in the terrifying quiet of your return. Because your enemies are students of your expression. They watch the slump of your shoulders. They notice when your voice falters. They smell uncertainty like wolves in winter. Machiavelli understood this brutal theater. A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests. Do you think your enemies will keep faith with you? Do you think they will protect your dignity? No. They will twist your humility into mockery. They will use your politeness to corner you. They will take your silence as surrender. That's why, even when broken, you must move like stone. Even in defeat, carry yourself like a returning king, not because it flatters your ego, but because it confuses their plan. When they aim to crush your spirit, your defiance becomes the weapon. Let your enemies find nothing in you to devour. No tremor in your voice, no plea in your eyes. Be unreadable, be composed, be myth. Because once they think you've lost, they drop their guard. And that is when your vengeance begins. The man who looks beaten becomes invisible. The man who looks unbothered becomes feared. Even if you're rebuilding from ashes, never show the ash, show only the ember. They may have laughed at your fall, but let them learn to fear your silence. Because silence in a powerful man is not emptiness, it is calculation. If you must rise, rise like a ghost they cannot kill. Rise like smoke they cannot hold. Rise like fate. This is how legends are born, not through perfection, but through the performance of unbreakability when all odds say you should have shattered. Number 5, never be humble when you've earned the stage. There comes a moment, not often, but once in a lifetime, when the crowd quiets, when the doors open, when the world looks toward you. And in that moment, your only duty is to step forward, not crawling, not apologizing, but standing as the storm that survived. You worked, you bled, you were overlooked, underestimated, pushed aside. You rose through chaos, you fought when no one clapped. So when the light finally finds you, stand in it like it belongs to you. Because it does. Say not, I was lucky. Say I was relentless. Say not, it was nothing. Say it was pain turned into precision. False humility is not noble, it is forgettable. And forgettable men are erased from history. Machiavelli warned, it is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. But here's the deeper truth. If you shrink before your own victories, then you teach the world to ignore what it took to become you. Humility at the wrong time becomes a lie that robs your journey of its meaning. When you finally earn the crown, do not downplay it. The man who hides his crown invites the next thief to steal it. The man who laughs off his throne teaches others that it can be taken. Claim your space, speak your value, make them feel the gravity of your ascent. This is not arrogance, it is memory. It is reminding the world that glory did not fall into your lap. It was taken, earned, fought for. When everything said you should have quit, you've walked through fire. So when the curtain lifts, walk out like flame. You are not here by accident. You are the consequence of every time you refuse to break. Stand tall, speak clearly, own the moment. Because when the stage is yours and you whisper, I'm not worthy, the world listens and agrees. So speak instead with the tone of inevitability, as if you were always meant to arrive here, as if destiny had no other choice. Number 6, never be humble when you're being tested. Some tests do not arrive as exams. They arrive as smirks, as delays, as veiled insults wrapped in compliments, as silence when applause was due. There will be moments, subtle or brutal, when people push just to see what you'll tolerate. They don't always want your collapse. They want measurement. They want to know how soft is your core. How far can they lean on you before you break? And in those moments, humility is a betrayal, because silence then becomes permission. When someone challenges your authority, do not explain. Stand like a stone that remembers its mountain, still, immovable, watching. When they question your boundaries, do not tremble, restate them, sharper. And if they test them again, make it hurt. When they mock your vision, remind them who you were when you had nothing and still rose. Machiavelli understood the anatomy of pressure. He said, the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. You are not allowed to be just one. You must smell the trap and shatter the snare with your roar. Be both, in your silence and in your strike, because every test you tolerate becomes your new standard, and every standard you lower becomes your new identity. The man who endures too much in silence does not look powerful. He becomes invisible in his own life, a ghost in his own kingdom. Learn the art of measured retaliation, not petty vengeance. Precision, one strike at the right time, in the right place, with the right force. No rage, no drama, no warning. Let it be clean, let it be final. Let it teach without repeating. Never allow repeated testing to become the rhythm of your life. You are not here to be poked, prodded, and tolerated. You are here to establish reality and enforce it. So when you are tested, do not become smaller. Do not beg to be understood. Do not laugh to ease the tension. Become cold, clear, unmistakable. You are not here to pass every test. You are here to end the need for it. Number 7. Never be humble about your future. There's a kind of silence that builds power, and there's a kind of silence that buries it. Know the difference. When you speak of what you're building, do not tremble. Do not downplay. Do not offer it like a question. Speak it like prophecy. Let every word feel inevitable, as if the future is not uncertain, but already unfolding in your favor. Because in a world of broken confidence, humility about the future is misread as doubt, as weakness, as an invitation for vultures to circle. You owe no one a detailed blueprint. But when you do speak, speak like one who already sees the city rising from the dust, like one who already felt the steel of the crown before it touched his head. That is not arrogance. That is clarity. You are not like them. They chase goals like sheep, looking sideways, asking for permission. But you think in centuries. You plant trees you'll never sit under. You act in silence. You build in storms. You are the one they won't understand until it's too late. Let them mock. Let them scoff. Every laugh you hear is just a weak man admitting he can't see what you see. Because the future does not belong to the most liked. It belongs to the most certain. To the man who walks forward like time already made a deal with him. As Machiavelli said, it is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. But fear does not begin with violence. It begins with vision, one so clear, so commanding, that others hesitate to stand in its way. So from now on, when you speak of your plans, speak them like thunder. Let the room adjust to your belief. And if they say you're delusional, good. That means you've stopped thinking like the herd. Because what you're building will not just be a result, it will be a symbol of defiance, of endurance, of force. The world does not reward the humble dreamer. It forgets him, but it fears the man who names his destiny before he reaches it. So before you go, answer this. Which of these 7 situations are you most guilty of? Which one has kept your power chained, your voice soft, your moves hesitant? And more importantly, which one are you finally ready to dominate? Comment it below. Name it, because what you name, you control. And if you're still breathing at this point, it means you're ready for more. You're ready for the part Machiavelli would never say aloud. A principle too sharp, too ruthless for soft ears. It's in the next video. A tactic that eliminates half your obstacles without a word. A shift so cold and clean that the room will adjust to you or exit entirely. Subscribe now, because power is built in moments like this, and those who ignore them, they fade. Like a fire that never burned. Like a king who never took his throne.